my goats. Notes, my goats. Notes, my goats. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Notes My Goats podcast. I am Steve.
I'm Brandon.
How's it going, man?
It is going fantastically, Steve. I'm probably still a little bit tan or pink, maybe.
Yeah,
Probably not burnt. Well, who knows? Maybe.
I probably am, and at this
Yeah.
point, I am back at work, and I'm probably pissed off and starting to get warm.
Yeah.
And even when it's like 45 to 50 degrees outside, our plant gets up to like 110.
Oof.
Yeah, with like crazy humidity because I work next to a big ass coal boiler, so it kind of works
Right.
out.
Yeah.
So I'm probably like dropping sweat weight and drinking Gatorade like nobody's business right now,
There you go.
and covered in coal dust. So, but I mean, it works out. I don't mind
Sounds
it.
good.
I'm yeah, I can't complain. I've been paid a lot worse to do a lot more. So
Right.
I can't complain too much about it. But I am going to complain that it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
Um,
That's all right though.
and I work outside a lot of the time. So
Right.
this summer, but you know, if it's not snowing, I don't care
Right.
really. If it's not snow,
Absolutely.
I'm at that point of our winter existence here in Michigan that as long as it's not snowing, it could be 90 fucking degrees, and I won't complain about it yet.
Sure.
Now, if it's multiple days at that, then I'm going to complain.
Sure.
But if it hits like the high 70s,
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain because we've been living through like, as you call it, the dysfunctional snowpocalypse
The bipolar
of
bipolar vortex. Yeah.
yeah, our multiple bipolar vortexes of what's been
Yeah.
2022, 2023's winter.
Yeah.
You guys aren't anywhere near the Midwest this year and the end part of last year for winter. It's been stupid.
Yep.
That's only the best way I can put it.
Buffalo went missing twice.
Yeah, Buffalo got like 8 feet of snow 2 different times, and then like 3
Ca-
days later it was in the 60s.
Yeah, and then on the West Coast, California got 10 feet. So there's that.
Yeah, and then they got floods.
Right.
Like
Because
we've
it all
had
melted.
well, and then they had a bunch of rain right after that.
Right.
We've had instances where we've gotten over 2 feet of snow on multiple occasions. I think 3 times now.
Yep.
And then within 5 days, it's been in the 50s for multiple days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in November, December, and February.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't happen. Al Gore was right. I'm probably the first person to ever say that.
I mean,
He
probably.
did invent the internet, which is kind of nice for that guy.
Right.
But he also invented global warming too, so I'm pretty sure he did something right at some point.
Right. Who
He
knows?
didn't come, man, bear, pig, and all that other stuff too. But
Right.
um,
Right.
oh, Al Gore. Wow, the Al Gore references. Who'd have thought that would come up?
Right.
Not Al Gore for one.
Not Al Gore.
But
Nope.
speaking of references and things
Yes.
that nobody ever thought we'd ever do,
Yep.
Brandon, what are we talking about today?
It all relates.
It
But
does
it's
actually.
it's two different things.
Yeah.
So, Steve, back in 2021, we did a television movie during the writer's strike with good old Barney Stinson,
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris, with our good friend Brian Atkinson,
Yeah, Dr. Horrible.
Dr. Horrible sing-along blog. So this is kind of along that genre-ish,
Yes.
to some degree.
Yes.
Mixed in with a top five because y'all love the top five.
We haven't done one yet this year.
We have not done one yet this year.
This is our
and
first
so
one in 2023.
This is our first one, and I'm curious how it'll go. Not really, because I know we're gonna knock it out of the park because we do really good with those. So, guys, anyway, today we are talking about our top five music from TV, not necessarily themes. We'll get into that later.
Yep.
And the Scrubs episode called My Musical.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
This is
So
going to be
excited.
fun.
Did you watch the episode?
I've watched the episode and I've started watching the show.
Did you?
I started watching it. I'm halfway through season 1. So,
okay, we'll talk about that soon. Ooh,
yeah, we're getting
excited.
there.
I love
We're
it.
getting there.
So Guys, if you aren't familiar with Scrubs, it's an American medical comedy from 2001 to 2010. So a little, just about 10 years. However, the last two seasons, um, just putting it out there.
The final 2 seasons are
Yeah.
okay.
So it's nine. We had 9 seasons, 182 episodes over 2 networks. We'll talk about that in a second. It was created by Bill Lawrence, who also created Cougar Town,
Oh yeah.
Spin City, and most recently Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And I believe he's got the new one on Apple TV called Shrinking. I think he's got a part of that too with Brett
Okay.
Goldstein. I still have not seen Ted Lasso. I want to,
Neither.
but I don't have Apple Plus. So
Absolutely.
you guys want
So
to?
if anybody
Somebody
wants
wants to give me a password for that. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure Navarre's probably got it. He's got them all. So
probably.
hook a brother up.
Yeah.
Now the show actually has multiple stars. Some stars came from the show. Some were stars before the show as well.
Sure.
But Zach Braff,
Yep.
Donald Faison,
Mhm.
Sarah Chalk, John C. McGinley, Dr. Cox,
Just
Neil Flynn, who plays the janitor,
mhm.
and Judy Reyes, who is Carla.
Yep.
There are many, many more, and several guest stars from, Brendan Fraser. There's so many. Brendan Fraser's one of my favorite episodes, though, when he comes in.
Okay.
It's not till later on, but
Sure.
there's so many guest stars and pop culture references throughout the show that are amazing. The TV show revolves around Dr. John Dorian, who is Zach Braff's character, and his journal entries as he narrates what happens in the hospital on a day-to-day basis.
Yep.
It was nominated for 17 Emmys with 2 wins. So the show was. Now,
Yeah.
My Musical is the album is 11 tracks, only 20 minutes long. It's a very short album, guys. The episode's like 24, 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's season 6, episode 6. It features guest star Stephanie D'Ambrosio, who was a lead on Avenue Q. We talked about Avenue Q.
Yep.
A couple years ago, 2021, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, with Matt Harper.
Matt Harper. Yeah, we did Avenue Q with Matt Harper. Her character on the show, suddenly she falls down and she starts hearing everyone singing. They don't really know why.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout the show, she's kind of walking, and all of a sudden she kind of collapses. And then when they get her back up, as they're talking to her, she's hearing their singing voices.
Mhm.
The episode was actually nominated for 5 Emmys. Of the 17 Emmys they were nominated for, this episode had 5 nominations and one of their 2 wins.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. The idea of the musical episode was something that the writers and Bill Lawrence wanted to do desperately, because many of the actors here had Broadway or off-Broadway experience. They were all on board. So many of the actors, Dr. Kelso was actually started off in Broadway. He's the old GM, or he's the head of the hospital.
Sure.
He started off in Broadway. Zach Braff was on Broadway. Faison was on Broadway and dancing and everything else. He's jack of all trades. The only guys that really didn't have Broadway experience were Neil Flynn and John C. McGinley. They were more off Broadway in like high school, college plays. They didn't really have Broadway experience. I think McGinley's actually been on Broadway since this, though.
I think so too. Yeah.
But there's been other ones. Now, I've been short on the backstory because it's just an episode of a TV show, and a TV show that I love completely.
Yeah.
And I could have talked about it forever. But we're doing a top 5 plus the songs from this one.
Yep.
And how we're going to do this, guys, we're not playing any games today.
Nope.
We're going to do our favorite tracks and our least favorite tracks. And then we're going to talk about our top 5 songs or music from TV, which we'll explain in a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do our deep cuts, and then we'll end it up with a final rating of the show, and then just kind of shoot the shit going forward here. So it might be a shorter episode, might be a longer episode. Who the hell knows?
Right.
That getting into it, Brandon, what was your favorite track from the album?
Oh, Steve, I got to look at your face when I tell you this. I picked Guy Love as my favorite track. I totally did. This song, absolutely hysterical, but also shows the best friend dynamic of JD and Turk. 100%. I also feel like this could easily describe the relationship between us.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Over the last
Turk, though.
Yeah, 100%. Over the last few years, we have gone through life together, and there is definitely a best friend Guy love going on here. Except that we are both married to women and have children. So So with that, Guy Love, Steve, was my favorite track.
I love it.
I'll preface this all by saying my review of this episode was done prior to me watching any of the show. So there's
Yes.
that.
But the sequence during Guy Love is also fantastic as well.
It's very good. Yes.
So that's amazing. So it's my favorite track as well.
Yeah.
It's this episode and album is it's full of so many one-liners.
Yeah.
That you're just like, what?
Yeah.
And it's like there's like this song is like Why I Call You Chocolate Bear, and like there's so many different things from the
Yes.
show that kick back into it.
Yeah.
But the relationship between JD and Turk is fantastic. And honestly, I'm such a big fan of this show. I named two of my cats Dorian and Turk.
Yeah.
The joke was on us when Dorian ended up having being a girl and they made babies. So we thought they were both boys.
Interesting.
They weren't.
No, clearly
Turk
not.
definitely is. He's still with us. Dorian didn't stay around, but Turk we still have Turk. He's still our cat.
Oh my gosh.
Zach Braff and Donald Faison meld together in that hetero life mate perfection.
Yes.
And I will tell you right now, if we had tied the Grammy bet, this would have been our duet. This would have been our duet. I would have put my fucking foot down. We would have done this one.
Okay.
If we had tied, when that was on the board. If we tied, we had to do a duet together.
Yes. Yeah.
And this one was perfect because
this would have been great.
It is us. Like it's such a, it's, if you guys aren't familiar with the song, go listen to it. It's amazing.
It's pretty good.
Watch it on YouTube so you can see some of the dancing that goes along with it and what they've got going on.
Yeah.
But it's so good. So yeah, I picked Guy Love as well. Now let's get into our least favorites. I'll go first.
Sure.
And I picked the one track that really is the most forgettable for me.
Okay.
I've watched this episode probably at least 5 times. I've gone through Scrubs, the series, at least 3 or 4 straight times. It's one of my it's like a Office for me. Yeah. Or like a How I Met Your Mother for a lot of people. My wife loves that show. She loves this one too. But we'll just watch it because it's still funny. Yeah. And the music on the show is fantastic. But I picked Gonna Miss You, Carla.
Same.
And it's so forgettable. When I watch the show, I love it. I never remember the song though. I do love that gospel revival style on the track though. And then watching it, that like, revival, it's a good song. It's just not remarkable. There's not really anything to write home about on it. It's just it's a filler track, which a lot of Broadway shows have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have a filler track from time to time. So I was Gonna Miss You, Carlos. What was your reasoning behind?
For me, and it makes sense, my reasoning, because I hadn't watched the show, but for me, this show is based around Zach and Donald, primarily.
Yes.
And so Carla is the supporting actress. And yes, she ends up marrying Turk and all of that. But to me, it was just the fact that in the prior, all I really knew was JD and Turk. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to miss you, Carla, because I don't really know you. You know what I mean? So that was pretty much my reasoning behind all of it. So very simple, surface level.
I think though, because now you're watching the show, you'll understand a little bit more of it, because she's one of those characters. She is a supporting character. Yeah. Yes. But she's one of those characters that really moves along the show, and she's kind of she is like the main force behind a lot of the main characters.
I was going to say she's probably more of the ones that help the story move rather than just an episode being done.
Yes, she is an integral part of the show because of her relationships with JD at first, with JD, and then building on with Turk, and then with Dr. Cox as well. Like she is such she can be in every scene with every character because of her role as a nurse and the head nurse. Right. She is in a lot of the show, and she kind of she's almost like not the narrator, but like in like a Broadway show, you always have that person that's like in an integral part.
Yes.
And they're not really a main character. Yeah.
Yeah.
they're just there, and they kind of
Right.
bring everything together, and they support everyone else. And she is like the number one supporting
It's like the
of
noodle
like
of spaghetti.
100%. And I say as you get further on, you'll grow to appreciate Carla and
Yeah.
Laverne. Um,
Okay.
so I like I said, I can wax poetically about Scrubs a lot of the times, but
Sure.
guys, it is time now for a kind of a quick top five.
Yep.
We went through, and this is our parameters that I gave Brandon. It was your top five music from TV, and it can be songs, it can be SNL, it can be theme songs, jingles, whatever you found that it was like stuck to you. That's like, I really like these things about music and TV. We all know that music
Yeah.
sells everything.
Yeah.
Without music in television or any sort of media, we wouldn't buy shit half the time because that's
Sure.
what gets you in the door.
Absolutely.
So, how top fives work, if you guys aren't familiar, we haven't done one in quite a while.
Quite a
We
while.
tend to give our first three, and then as we're doing that, the person or other will give the other two shit, or just kind of go, oh, I forgot about that one, and then we will, then we'll give our last two, and we'll kind of move forward from there and how these do it.
Absolutely.
So, Brandon, you go first. What were your? And I didn't order mine. I just said five,
Okay.
so I didn't really do five
Okay.
5 to 1. So, what were your?
Yeah. So for me, I did, because I always do.
Mhm.
But so my number 5 one, or my first one, was the Fox NFL Sunday theme song. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun, bun, da-da-dun. And it's like
Yeah.
you hear that song. Football is a staple in my house on a Sunday afternoon.
It's like the ESPN, like
It
da-da-da.
absolutely. So hearing the song, everyone knows what it is, and it brings your family together if you're into football. So that theme is right up there. My next one, I picked a song from a show that yeah. So the song is Seasons of Love, right? And it's from Glee. Now, yeah. So this was the track that was sung at the end of the episode where they talked about the episode based around Corey Monteith after he died.
And they did the montage. That was the worst one, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That shit came with a freaking warning.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. This episode called The Quarterback. Go check it out. I was a fan of the show for the first few seasons, but then as things progressed and they graduated high school, things got different and I didn't really like it. But the death of Corey was just crazy to see, like in public, because you never expect it. You never expect it. You know what I mean?
No.
And so for me, because of what happened, and it happened to such a young guy. So for me, I wanted to watch this episode, and I watched it live, super emotional. And it was, and you can tell that one thing that I like about that show was, and especially in this episode, you can tell that they're lip syncing in the show, because if for this episode, like, specifically, there's so much emotion going on with the cast. They wouldn't have been able to sing it live in those moments. You know what I mean?
No.
So
Well, and you got to think, like, after that, what happened? Like, Naya passed away.
yeah, that other guy, he who must not be named, the diddler.
Oh, the diddler.
The diddler.
That show has been like, and then Matthew Morrison did the Grinch. That's another,
Yeah,
horrible
everybody
part.
just bubble wrap Chris Colfer. We need to keep
Like,
that. We need to
and
keep.
Darren Chris.
Oh yes, both of those guys.
Keep both of them. I mean,
I
Leah
don't know.
Michelle's doing very well.
I haven't really seen much of Chris Colfer ever since Glee, but
No, Darren Chris has been in all
he's
over the
been on
damn place.
Broadway, really. I
Well,
think,
Leah
right?
Michelle has been too. No, he did. He's been on Broadway, but he's put out a couple of albums too.
Oh, really? Okay.
He did a Christmas album last year, the year before.
Oh, nice.
Leah Michelle's doing My Fair Lady right now, and she's
Yes,
killing it.
she's killing it. Yep. So, speaking with the so next one, number 3 or whatever.
Your third one.
My third one. I actually picked a song from probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and probably the worst ending shows of all time. I picked the song called "You're Not Alone," and this is from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh.
This song was played during the scene when Lily had the unfortunate task of telling Marshall that his dad died.
Emotional damage.
Motherfucker, dude. Oh,
Now, I've seen the show more often than not. And this moment of the show absolutely broke me. I
it
actually
still
watched,
does.
huh?
It still does.
Yes. Do you want to know why? Because the acting here, to me, I had to watch interviews on it because the acting seemed way more intense than normal. Like it wasn't scripted. And
They didn't tell Jason Segel, did they?
correct. The Allison and the writers actually kept this part a secret from Jason so that they could capture his true reaction to that news. And so for me, and this was the song that was playing, and so for me, just makes the show even more brilliant. The fact that they're like, we want to get an actual reaction about this, and so I had to Google it, I had to figure it out, but like this song was playing during that scene, and this scene is one of my favorite, most heartbreaking scenes of the entire show, and just absolutely perfect. It actually started with me trying to find a Barney Stinson song, and that didn't go anywhere. So then I'm like, all right, where else am I going to go? So that one for me was my
That's a man. You
first
picked
three.
two that are just like kick you right in the freaking heart, like
Yeah.
hardcore. Like you didn't even think about it, man. That's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. All right, so I got one hard one, I think, but then my other ones are pretty funny. So we'll go over this. It's kind of our take back here. Um, my first one, and I could have picked any of these shorts from SNL.
Dick in a box.
Oh, I definitely picked Dick in a Box.
Is that the one?
I definitely picked Dick in a Box.
Nice.
But I mean, Mother Lover would have been good too.
I'm a mother lover. You're another lover. We could each other's mothers. Fuck each
This
other's
is
moms.
this is why this is why I put Incredibad on the podcast for I think August. We're doing it July or August. We're doing Lonely
did.
Islands Incredibad
Oh,
because I'm
boy.
like, it might be it might be the duet album.
Oh no.
That might where your duet might come from on that one. But I was
Wait.
like, Dick in a Box is so funny, and the fact that I actually listened to Justin Timberlake talk about this song is they were working on something. This is the first time he actually done something with Andy,
Yeah.
and he was hosting, and they're like, "Man, you got to talk to the Lonely Islands guys," and like Justin's like, "Okay," and then they were like, "We got to come up with something," and by like Wednesday they still hadn't come up with anything, and they had to
Yeah.
film this on like they had to film it because it was a video.
Right. Like a
And
music
like
video.
a
Right.
music video. They had to do it like by Friday.
Yeah.
And they finally, like Friday morning, were like, what if we do this? And the censors were like, no, you cannot say dick on TV.
Right.
And they're like, so that's the only hang up? We just can't say dick? And they just like blipped it out a little bit and they
Yeah.
got it in. But they filmed this up until like, I think he said they finished it at like 4 a.m. on Saturday and got it ready and got it done. And they got it done before the show came out that evening.
Yep.
But like, it's such a funny song.
It's so funny.
And it's going to be like pop culture, like Hall of Fame forever. Like you're never
Yeah.
anybody who's ever seen that video will know exactly when you see Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg with the chin strap beards and those crazy oversized suits, and you're like, Dick in a Box. All right.
Yep.
Like first you cut a hole in the box.
Yep.
I love it every single time.
So funny.
So that was one of my first three. Next one I picked and I could have picked a couple of songs from this show too, but I picked The Nightman Cometh from
What's
Always
that from?
Sunny in Philadelphia.
I've never seen it.
Oh my god, it's Charlie's musical.
Yes. Okay.
So The Nightman Cometh is Charlie's musical that he writes, and the whole gang acts in it. It's amazing. The Nightman and Dayman, you have to watch it. I mean, you have watched Always Sunny at all?
Nope.
Okay, you wouldn't get a lot of the jokes in it, but it's if you know Always Sunny, it's amazing the way that they did it, and the fact that they had Rob McHenry, Danny DeVito, and Glenn and all these guys in it. They're just It's so good. It's so funny, and like knowing theater, it's amazing, and it's Charlie Day and his best Charlie Day.
Sure.
And then my next one was maybe a show you haven't seen either. Did you ever watch Psych?
Bits and pieces.
Oh, another underrated TV show. I didn't like Monk very much. People liked Monk. At the same time, the USA
Yeah.
Network.
Yeah.
So it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like Burn Notice, Psych, and Monk were like their three, and then they had that
Burn
legal one
Notice.
that had Burn Notice was good for a couple of
It was
seasons, but
weird.
it had Bruce Campbell in it.
Yeah.
But and they had that legal one, Suits, with Meghan Markle was in that one for
Oh
a while.
yes. Yep.
Good old Princess Meghan. But Psych was just these two guys who were great detectives, but a fake psych, and that's how they did their whole spiel. Amazingly funny show. Family friendly esque for the most part, but they did a musical episode, and it's awesome. It's so funny. But again, if you don't know the show, you won't get a lot of the jokes, but you'll understand kind of the nuance of it. I loved it, and again, I'm a nerd, and I only like certain TV.
Sure.
It's one of those. My next two are more. I think you'll know them. At least know
Okay.
the songs. But
Okay.
so what about your next two? What do you got for your last two?
My next two are probably two of the most popular songs to ever pierce anybody's ear holes. My first one, yeah, I don't know how to get into it, so we're just gonna get into it. It is a song titled "Forever" by Jesse and the Rippers.
Oh, this is my fault. This is my fault.
Such a such a good
Oh.
track. If you want to talk iconic music from the late 80s, early 90s, this song from one of the most talked about shows on Friday nights has to be at the top. People know this song when it plays. It even made a comeback appearance on Fuller House on Netflix. So that one, you had mentioned it to me
You're looking
as
for
like
the
an
reference on that one. Check
example.
episode 247 from Aaron Carter.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yes,
Little
that's right.
throwback.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. And my number one, Steve, and I already told you what this one was. You knew this one was my get from the top.
Mhm.
I've binged this show. I know everything about this show. And it's the theme song to Law and Order SVU. This theme is an absolute staple in television history. And although it's a theme song and not generally what we're talking about throughout this, really, this is definitely on my list. So,
Well, you picked two that like the Fox NFL theme song and then that one, but they're both like if you watch TV at all, you're like, what the
yes.
hell? Like, you hear the SVU theme song, Ice-T's get ready to punch me in the face. It just is what it is.
Dun, 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 dun.
And you know, rest in peace, Munch. He just passed away
Yeah, he did.
a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, Richard Belzer. But
Yep.
shit, that show's still going.
Still going.
It also gave us Christopher Melanoni
yeah.
and his amazingness,
Yep.
which is still doing his thing.
He's doing
Pops, he
Law and Order,
pops-
Law and Order, I don't know what it is.
He pops up at SVU every once in a while. with
Yeah, he's
Mariska.
got his own Law and Order now.
Oh, he's on his own one now.
Yeah.
He was doing naked Pelotoning too, for a while there.
Naked Peloton?
Yeah, he was like a Peloton thing. He was doing naked workouts.
Interesting.
The ladies love Chris Melanoni, man. I'm telling you right now.
Interesting.
You know, they love themselves a Stabler.
Yeah.
That's fun. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you though. That's a banger.
For sure.
All right, my last two. I did pick How I Met Your Mother, and I couldn't really pick a certain song from that one.
Okay.
It's more of a collection. Like, you know, this whole show was built on music in some way, shape, or form. It really did move it
Yeah.
through being the big Broadway numbers or just the small stuff. Having Robin Sparkle's character be based on Alanis Morissette and like the Suits Me Like a Suit, classic. My all-time favorite is You Just Got Slapped.
Yeah.
I love that. Or Let's Go to the Mall.
Yep.
The Beaver song is also hilariously inappropriate, and I
Yes.
love every single moment of that. Plus the Alan Thicke and that is amazing.
Yes.
Alan Thicke popping
So
up on
funny.
that one. He's talking about the beavers going after some wood. It's
Yep.
there's so many references, and how that actually got onto network TV, I have no idea, because the
No idea.
innuendo is like dripping off those songs.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that Neil Patrick Harris could play a straight, womanizing, just sexual deviant of a male
Yeah.
while doing his thing is just panache. It's
Yeah.
amazing acting.
Right.
My last one though is actually from Scrubs.
Okay.
I could have picked a couple of songs from this one too. There's a Colin Hay song that is in season 3, I think, but I actually picked "How to Save a Life" by the
Mm.
Fray. It's from an episode called My Lunch. Um, the this show, we'll get back, and this is actually a good segue back into our
Yeah.
deep cut here. The show is very good at breaking the fourth wall, and kind of JD kind of bringing the viewer in to like what's going on, and really naming it. He talks about a medical dramas, how all of a sudden bad shit starts to happen. These bad things start to happen, and somehow, some way, the Fray is always involved. And then all of a sudden, How to Save a Life is being played like in the background.
Mhm.
If you guys are familiar with any sort of TV, medical TV, like House and ER, this song was on a lot of those shows.
Mhm.
Very deep for that reason. In the episode, Dr. Cox loses 3 patients that were all transplant patients after he makes a mistake by misdiagnosing someone that passed away from a disease. They had something wrong with them and they didn't catch it. He went through the process of obtaining these organs from this person who passed away for 3 transplant patients who didn't need to be on that list at the time, and all 3 of them subsequently passed away because their bodies rejected the organs and bad shit happened. Um, it, it's such a deep, dark moment in this really bright and funny show that kind of brings you back to, this is a medical drama of
Mhm.
sorts. It's a comedy, but there is drama involved when you get into medicine. And John C. McGinley is an amazing actor, and there's so much that goes into this show where you can pull about different things out of it. I loved this episode. I love the use of music throughout this show. And I felt like, because we're doing a Scrubs episode, I had to find something from there, and it didn't take me long. I could have picked the freaking theme song because it's
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
from
Oh, it's a good
Scrubs.
one.
But so that being said, I picked How to Save a Life by The Fray in that Scrubs episode. Um, let's get back into our deep cuts here. So, what was your deep cut from the album?
Yep. So I actually picked, man, you hit heavy, and
Go
now
for it. Is everybody poops?
it is. It all comes down to poo. Was my deep cut.
That's just, I love, but the thing is, I love this show for that reason.
Yeah.
Because even in this episode, it gets a little deep, a little dark,
Yeah.
but then they bring it back, and it's got that light undertone underneath it. So even the hard stuff, there is still some that light undertone underneath it.
Yeah. This one hits home for me because it is a topic that we sometimes struggle with in my household. Upset stomach, probably need to poop. Belly gurgling, probably need to poop. Been a week and you haven't sat on the toilet, you probably need to poop. But this track, even more from a medical standpoint, is so funny.
It is
and
very funny.
really brings light to a strange yet normal bodily function.
Mhm.
And it's just so funny.
Mhm.
So that one for me, it all comes down to poo for me, Steve.
It is, and it's not wrong. My favorite or deep cut was the rant song.
Yeah.
John C. McGinley. Dr. Cox is my second favorite character on this show, behind JD. I love the character and the actor. John C. McGinley is a treasure.
Yeah.
He's so funny while also being supportive and nice and a little bit misogynistic. Actually, a lot of misogynistic. But it's done in jest and it's so funny. He is like the best mixture of like Dr. House and like just crazy slapstick humor.
Yeah.
Like it's a different level of the bond between him and JD is like father and son, and just as toxic as you'd expect it from your own dad.
There you go.
It kind of works out. The janitor's part though, bringing up the penny in the door that started the feud between him and JD, which you may have caught by now.
Oh, absolutely. It's in like
So
episode one or two.
it's in episode 1 or 2, yes. So it's all started with a penny in the door, and if you don't know what he's referencing, you have to watch the very first season because it comes right back to it. It's a great callback for those who love the show. And I nearly did go with Everything Comes Down to Pooh for all the one-liners. But the rant song for me was like the obvious choice because it shows that Dr. Cox's character perfectly, but
Yeah.
also Johnson McGinley is the fucking man because this thing is fast and he
Yeah.
goes off, and it's amazing. So I loved that. Here. So let's get into our final thoughts here.
Absolutely, man.
I'll start here. Now, to do a full-fledged musical from opening song to ending reprise, and to have it be a concise story in a 24-minute sitcom is remarkable.
Mhm.
Musically, these songs all bring you a different vibe to the episode. You get big numbers, you get ballads, you get duets, you get solo performances in just 7 tracks. It is astounding for someone who loves musicals and has seen a 2-hour production who couldn't do all of what Scrubs did in 24 minutes.
Mhm.
The actors are not all trained singers, but they stayed true to their character and did what was required. If you are a fan of Scrubs and you love this music, you'll love this music. If you aren't, you should still be able to appreciate the music and laugh at all the silliness of the jokes.
Mhm.
It might actually even make you want to watch the show more. But seriously, lighten up and give this 20 minutes a shot and take it for what it is.
Yeah.
It is strictly a comedy album, but it has some points of points that you'll just go, "Yep, it all does come down to Pooh."
Yep.
For me, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I wanted more, but they're
Sure.
dealing with constraints of sitcom TV. I
Yeah.
definitely understand it,
Yep.
but to do what they did in 24 minutes it's unworldly.
Yep.
What about you?
Hilarious music, fun episode to watch. Definitely I'm diving into it, so I'm still new. My childhood best friend was a fan of Scrubs, so I've seen episodes here and there, but I can't say that I've watched the show or know anything much about it. I know that people will probably give me crap for not seeing it, but whatever, it is what it is.
Well, you told me you really hadn't watched it, and I was like, well, watch this episode, and then you might want to watch it. It
Yeah.
kind of worked.
It kind of did work. This is also, it's a fun listen and really, really good comedy writing. Really funny comedy
Bill
writing.
Lawrence is hilarious.
So funny. For me, I gave this one a 7 out of 10.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yep.
This is a total shot in the dark. I just figured it had a bunch of songs that could really, really equate to our podcast.
Yeah.
And worked very well for the type of humor that we do, plus our relationship. So I was just
Absolutely.
like, this works out very, very well. And I think it'll be
Absolutely.
fun. So,
Yeah.
guys, that has been the Scrubs My Musical review and also our top 5 music from TV. Let us know where your top 5s are. Like, what songs do we miss from TV? There's a ton of TV, and unfortunately, I don't watch as much as I want to.
Sure.
I still haven't watched some major shows that I'm getting a lot of shit for not watching or caught up on, I guess. So, I just
Yeah.
haven't had time. But
It's all good.
let us know what we missed, what we need to go back and watch. Send us some YouTube clips. Guys, speaking of YouTube, you can find us there now.
What?
We're all there.
We're all there.
This episode will be there. Hi. We just started that last month in March. It's kicking off like gangbusters. We have an episode coming out or content coming out nearly every day.
Mhm.
There's something dropping by the time of recording, or time of release, which will be April 11th.
Right.
I believe we're at least over 50 hours of content on
Mhm.
YouTube. So give us a following, give us a review, give us some likes. I don't know what the hell you do on YouTube, whatever it is. Just watch some stuff. That'll help there, and subscribe. That definitely does help us. We got a couple of new subscribers so far. Slowly
Absolutely.
but surely building this thing out because we all know that Zuckerberg is going to implode Facebook at some way, shape, or form.
Very soon. Absolutely.
or sell it to China, because that's a cool thing people are doing now. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it works out. So speaking of Facebook, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, the Notes But Goats podcast, until it's shut down.
Mhm.
We are on Twitter, but we do not post on Twitter. And why is that, Brandon?
Because fuck Elon Musk.
Yes, until we absolutely have to, we're not going to post on Twitter.
Correct.
We hit to eventually here. You can find us on TikTok. That's another social media we are working to grow tirelessly. We want to get ourselves over 1,000 followers on TikTok, so we can do this podcast not only on video but live on video, guys. Live.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
is the plan here. Until then, we are still going to do some Facebook Lives shortly, but we've got some more stuff coming. Guys,
Sure do.
if you haven't found us, you found us on YouTube today. Hello. We are on all major podcasting platforms and music platforms: Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, Pandora, and Apple Pods. All the little ones too. Pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find us. And at the time of recording, I'm pretty sure we have well over 260 episodes recorded and released. 262. So I'm sure we've done something probably something you like, and we may have shit on it. If we did, let us know. If you want to be on the podcast and want to be a guest, we are going to have more guests coming up in June. I will announce this today. We have our guests rounding out the month of April into the first week of May. We're taking a few weeks off from guests. We're going to have some best of guests just to give Brandon and I a little bit of a break. We haven't taken one in 2.5 years, and we need some sleep. But coming back in June, we are going to start heavy with guests again every single week. If you want to be on the podcast, you have an album or an artist we haven't talked about yet, or we're completely wrong on something we've already done and you said, fuck you guys, I want to talk about this again, hey, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're always open to get yelled at. Let us know. Hit us up on any social media. Send us an email, notesbutgoatspodcast@gmail.com, and we will gladly get you going here. We will answer the messages too. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
He might have sat in the inbox for a little while, guys. We
just a little bit.
But that being said, I am Steve.
I'm Brandon.
And this has been Scrubs, My Musical, and our top 5 music from TV. We will see you guys on Friday with another fun episode. Until then, keep it going and check us out on YouTube.
Bye, guys.
Notes but goats.